Good Friday morning to you. February the 11th, 2022. Metric rankings. Baseball Hall of Fame players. 9 categories. Hits. Runs scored. RBIs. Stolen batting average. Stolen bases. Walks. On base percentage. Slugging. Total bases. 9 categories. Who has the most total score? Well, my previous 4 videos has covered 100 Hall of Fame position baseball players. Not pitchers, but position players. There are 162 of them. Let's go to 101. We'll go through 101 to 162, and then I'll mention all of them. Okay? Who was number 1? Hank Aaron. He had a score of 17,984. By adding hits, 3,771, runs, 2,174, RBIs, 2,297, batting average, 305, stolen bases, 240, walks, 1,402, on base, 374, slugging, 555, and total bases, 6,856. Out of all the baseball players in the Hall of Fame, Hank Aaron, number 1 in total score. Career numbers. Props to Hank Aaron. 2, Cobb. Then you have Ruth, Musial, Mays, Rose, Yastrzemski. Ricky Henderson. Speaker, Frank Robinson. Murray, Gehrig, Ott, Ted Williams. Wagner, Hanson, Winfield. Griffey, Jeter, Fox. Top 20. Then you have Collins, Molitor, Ripken, Brett, Kaline, Jones, Biggio, Reggie Jackson. Hornsby, Tomey, Mantle, Young, Yount, Thomas, Paul Wainer, Joe Morgan, Simmons, Dijawai, Gehringer, Baines, Mike Schmidt, top 40. Then you have Dawson, Goslin, Billy Williams, Crawford, Bagwell, Beckley, Matthews, Perez, Boggs, Gwynn, Raines, Banks, Clemente, Carew, Alomar, Delante, Burkett, Davis, Frisch, Killebrew, top 60. Heilman, McCovey, Wheat, Rodriguez, Connor, Rice, Sam Rice, Guerrero, Brooks Robinson, Brock, Clark, Carey, Appling, DiMaggio, Keeler, Sisler, Rice, Walker, Stargell, Martinez, Brothers, top 80. And you have Fiss, O'Rourke, Schneider, Bottomley, Cronin, Slaughter, Santo, Sandberg, Sabeda, Ted Simmons, McPhee, Cooper, Hamilton, Duffy, Larkin, Medwick, Kelly, Manouche, Aparicio, and Mike Piazza, 100. Let's go to the next 62. Berra, 10,247. And the rest, I won't mention the total scores. I'll just mention their order from now till 162, okay? Remember the number 1 number? What was it? It was Hank Aaron, was at 17,984 total score. Berra at 101 is 10,247. That's a difference of about 7,700 in total score. So Berra is at 101. Then you have Kyler, Mize, Trammell, Marinville, Bench, Ashburn, Schmidt, Trainer, Averill, Pee Wee Reese, Carter, Klein, Puckett, Roosh, Dorr, Wallace, Thompson, Carey, Red, Shahonshanius, wish I could pronounce it, Vaughn, Sewell, Herman, Greenberg, Fox, Lazario, Dickey, Harnett, Ward, Weiner, Kelly, Collins, Kell, Combs, Bancroft, Doby, Cochran, Flick, Gordon, Baker, top 140. 141, Hack Wilson, Ewing, Mazeroski, Kelly, George Kelly, Bergeron, Jackie Robinson, Travis Jackson, Lombardi, Kiner, Lindstrom, Farrell, McCarthy, Evers, Tinker, Happy, Jennings, Campanella, Residio, Youngs, Chance, Brejahan, and number 162, Ray Chalk, comes in with a total score of 5,916, and yet Hank Aaron was at 17,984. What a difference in spread. But give credit to all these guys. They're in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So what do you think? Are these the best Hall of Fame players? Or are these the best baseball players of all time? These 162. They're in the Hall. There are other players that are deserving, but their stats, well, present day players right now playing, their stats are not done. So that's why I don't have them on my list. And also those who use steroids and foreign substances to improve their performance, I don't have them on my list either, because everything's in question. If it has a questionness to it, I'm not going to include it. Why does Aaron, Cobb, Ruth, Musial, and Mays in the top 5? Why are they the best? Because they played a long time. All of them. Aaron, 23 years. Cobb, 24. Ruth, 22. Musial, 23. Mays, 23 years, I believe. And they accumulated outstanding numbers. I mean, hits. Aaron, 3,771. Cobb, 4,189. Ruth, 2,873. Musial, 3,630. And Mays, 3,283. Whereas these other guys, they just had like 1,000 hits, 1,100 hits, 1,500 hits. That's why their numbers are not as high. Also, the runs scored. Aaron, 2,174. Cobb, 2,246. Ruth, 2,174. Musial, 1,949. And Mays, 2,062. See, add the numbers. RBI, same thing. Aaron, 2,297. Cobb, 1944. Ruth, 2214. Musial, 1951. And Mays, 1903. Those three, hits, runs, and RBIs, those numbers are outstanding. As far as batting average, they're all above 300. Aaron, 305. Cobb, 366. Ruth, 342. Musial, 331. Mays, 302. Stolen bases. The only one on this list is Musial and Babe Ruth, low on stolen bases. But you got Cobb at 897. Mays, 338. Aaron, 240. Ruth only had 123, and Musial only had 78. How about the walks? 1,400 for Aaron. Cobb, 1,148. But Babe Ruth doubles it. 2,062 walks. If they had pitched to him, he'd have more numbers. Musial, 1,599. Mays, 1,468. How about on base? Looks like Ruth leads 474 on base. Musial 417. And Cobb 433. Aaron 374. Mays 384. How about slugging? Ruth leads 690. Aaron 555. Cobb, no, Musial 559. Cobb 512. Mays 557. So they're all high in slugging. And then the total bases really did it. Aaron leads 6856. Then you have Musial 6,134. Mays 6,080. Cobb 5854. And Ruth 5793. So these top 5 outstanding numbers: Aaron, Cobb, Ruth, Musial, Mays. Are these the best Hall of Fame players of all time? You may argue about Pete Rose. Well, he came in number 6. You may say, what about Lou Gehrig? He's number 12. How about Ted Williams? 14 on the list. But he missed 3 or 4 years. Without a doubt, Williams would be in the top 5, maybe the top 2, if he had had those extra 3 or 4 years he served in the military. His numbers, and he was in his prime too. How about that? You say Honus Wagner, number 15. Cap Hansen, 16. How about other guys? How about the Iron Man, Cal Ripken? Nope, 23 on the list. What about Jumpin' Joe DiMaggio? Well, again, he only played 13 years. So and Joe Maggio comes in at 73 on the list. How about Gwynn? He had the hits and the batting titles, but didn't accumulate enough numbers in RBIs and total bases. So he was 50 on the list. Mickey Mantle? Nope, 31 on the list. Al Simmons? He had pretty good hits, RBIs, and runs scored. A little low on the total bases. I'm trying to determine, from my perspective, who is the greatest baseball player of all time, or who are the top 5, 10, 15, 20. And what I did was metric rankings, add up 9 categories in their career totals and see what the numbers come out. You can't argue. It's a fact. Aaron is 1. Is he the best of all time? The only thing about Aaron, he had a 305 career batting average. Well, he played 23 years. You may argue that Cobb's 366. I mean, that's 61 more points higher in its career. Does that make Cobb better than Aaron? Well, Aaron had 755 homers, where Cobb had over 100 homers. How about the RBIs? Well, Cobb got 1944, where Aaron beats him by about 300, 2297. Would you say that Ruth is the best? Well, he didn't have as many hits as Cobb and Aaron. He had 2873 hits. But he did have the runs scored and the RBIs and the batting average and the total bases. Would you say that Ruth is the best? How about Stan Musial? Consistent, 3630 in hits, 1900 RBIs, and 1900 runs scored, and 331 batting. So he beats Aaron in the batting. Came short on RBIs and runs, and also total bases. How about Mays? Again, the 302 lifetime batting, whereas Musial, Ruth, and Cobb beat Mays and Aaron in batting. How do you determine the best ball player? Is it across the board, or is it just one category? If you want to say home runs, I have to go with Ruth because he did it. He had 714 in 700 less games than Aaron. Aaron has 755, but it took Aaron more games to accomplish the 755. Do the same number of games for Aaron and Ruth beats Aaron in home runs. You got to admit that. Also, he'll beat him in RBIs. Because look in RBIs, Ruth had 2174. Aaron had, no, in RBIs, Ruth had 2214. Aaron had 2297. That's a difference of about 75. Ruth plays the same number of games as Aaron. He beats him in RBIs. And Ruth beats Aaron in batting average. 342 lifetime for Ruth, Aaron 305. Is Ruth better than Aaron? Debatable. Is Cobb better than Ruth? Because Cobb beats Ruth in hits and batting average. And he beats him in total bases. But again, Cobb plays over 3,000 games, where Ruth, how many games did Ruth play? I'll go back. Let's see. How many games did Babe Ruth play? All right, let's see here. Babe Ruth. I gotta look it up. Ruth played 2,503 games. Henry Aaron played 3,298. That's a difference of 700 games. Now, Cobb, where is Cobb? Cobb played 3,034 games. Ruth, 2,500. So Cobb played 500 more games than Ruth. And he beats him in total bases, but he only beats him by 100. Ruth plays more games, he beats him in bases. So according to my analysis, Babe Ruth outperformed Cobb and Aaron. What about Musial? Well, Musial, how many games did Stan Musial play? I'll look it up here. Stan Musial. How many games for Stan the Man? Where is he on this list? Stan Musial. He played 3,026 games. So he had more hits than Ruth and Mays. And, Musial beats Ruth in hits and total bases. But he had 500 more games. So you got to say Ruth beats Musial also. How about Mays? Mays beats Ruth in hits. But how many games did Mays play? 2,992. So that's 400 more games. Ruth outperformed Mays because Mays played 400 more games. It had more hits and more total bases. But Ruth beats him in batting, 342. And listen to this. Ruth beats Mays in RBIs, even though Mays had 400 more games. Go figure there. Ruth beat Cobb in RBIs, and Cobb had 500 more games. And in RBIs, Ruth only came up about 75 short of Aaron, yet Aaron had 700 more games. Are you following me? Would you agree with me that Ruth is better than Aaron, Cobb, Musial, and Mays, the top 5? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to agree. And whether you disagree with me or not, but I agree. Babe Ruth is number 1, outperforming these guys because he did it in less games. Now, where did Ruth fall short? I don't see anywhere in his game where he fell short. I mean, batting average, 342. Runs scored, 2,174. He tied Aaron. They both have 2,174 runs scored. Yet Aaron had 700 more games. Cobb had 500 more. Musial and Mays had 400 more games. How about slugging? 690 for Ruth. He beats Aaron, Cobb, Musial, and Mays. Who was second on slugging? Stan Musial. So Musial beats Aaron, Mays, and Cobb in slugging. How about on base? Out of the top 5, Ruth, 474 on base. Who is next? Cobb, 433. Then you have Musial, 417, Mays, and Aaron. So Aaron comes in number 5 as far as on base. Total bases, Aaron wins that, 6,856. Musial second, 6,034. Mays third, 6,080. Then you have Cobb and Ruth. So Ruth falls short on the total bases, but all these guys had 500 to 700 more games. Ruth plays 700 more games. How many total bases does he have? How about walks? Ruth wins in walks, 2,062. Who comes next? Musial, 1,599. Then you got Mays, Aaron, and Cobb. So Ruth wins in runs, on base, slugging, and walks. Aaron wins in total bases and RBIs. Who's number 1? Babe Ruth. What about Ted Williams? Well, Ted Williams, he beats Ruth in on base. 482 for Williams. Ruth, 474. You know what's interesting about Ted Williams? How about this? If you want to make an argument for him being the greatest. He played 2,292 games. You know what that means? Ruth played more games than Ted Williams. Where would have Williams ended up if he has an extra, let's say, 300 games to match Ruth? Would he have tied him in total bases? It's possible. Would he have tied him in slugging? Nope. I think Ruth would have won the slugging title. Williams wins the on-base title. How about the walks? Well, look at this. Ruth had 2,062, and you know that Ted Williams had 2,021. But he had 300. But Ruth had 300 more games. It looks like they were walking Williams more. So Williams plays an extra 300 games to match Ruth. He beats him in walks. Total bases. Looks like Williams comes 1,000 short of Ruth, but give Williams 300 more games, he may match Ruth or even pass him. But as far as home runs, I think Ruth would have won the home run title over Williams. Because in 300 games, Williams would have had to have hit another 200 homers. 300 games, 200 homers? I don't think so. Okay. Cobb wins in hits and batting average. So you got to give it to Cobb there. Who would you put number 2? You know who I would put? Ted Williams. If he had played those extra 300 games to match Ruth. And did you know that Williams, where is Ted? 2,292 games. And Aaron, 3,000. Aaron played 1,000 more games than Williams. Do you think in 1,000 more games would Williams have passed Aaron in home runs? Maybe. 300 games to match Ruth, he wouldn't have. But he may have passed Aaron because he was in his prime. 1,000 games, right? So if that's 162, that's about 7 more years. If he averages 40 homers a year, let's see. 7 times 40. Oh, 280 more home runs. He hit 521. 520. Yep. He would have like 780. Ted Williams. What do you think of that? I don't know. According to my chart, I'm going to put Babe Ruth number 1. I'm going to put Cobb number 2. What if scenario? Maybe you put Ted Williams number 3. Or you can put Hank Aaron number 3. Ruth, Cobb, Aaron. Why do I put Cobb 2? Because of the batting average and the hits. He beats Aaron in hits. And do you know that Aaron had more games than Cobb? Cobb had how many games? How many games did Cobb have? Let's see. I got it here. Cobb had 3,034 games. Hank Aaron had 3,298. So Aaron had 200 more games, yet Cobb beats him by 400 hits because Aaron had 3,771, right? Cobb had 4,189. So that's a difference of, let's see, about 400 hits. So Cobb, even though less games than Aaron, beats him in hits and beats him in batting average, which is 60 points higher career batting average. That's why I put Cobb number 2. But you got to put Aaron 3 or 4. You could put Williams 3 or 4. What about Stan Musial? 331 lifetime, 3,600 hits. But Stan the man, let's see, how many games did I say that Stan had 3,000 games? Maybe you put Stan the man 4 or 5. And then you've got Willie Mays. Maybe you put Mays 5 or 6. Then you got a guy named Pete Rose who had the hits and good stolen bases and runs scored, but he was short on RBIs, short on total bases. But he did have 10 200 hit seasons. Where do you put Rose? Where do you put Honus Wagner? 3,400 hits, 328 lifetime, short on the bases, 328 lifetime batting. Who would you put the top 10? How about Roger Hornsby? 358 lifetime batting average, but he came in 29 on the total score list. But you've got 358 lifetime career batting average. He didn't get 3,000 hits, 2,900 hits. Slugging was good. Walks were low. Where do you put Hornsby? Get Tris Speaker, Lou Gehrig. Where do you put him? You know, Gehrig is an interesting case too. Because how many games did Lou Gehrig play? He played 2,164. That means that Aaron and Cobb played 1,000 more games than Gehrig. But Gehrig ends up with 2,700 hits, and he ends up with a 340 lifetime batting average. His RBIs were outstanding, 1995. So in 2,164 games, he has 1,995 RBIs. He had a better pace than Ruth and Aaron, and Cobb, and Musial and Mays. Where do you put Lou Gehrig? All right, you want to know my top 10? I'm trying to get the top 10 best all around outperforming baseball players of all time in the Baseball Hall of Fame right now. The top 10. I proved to you that Ruth deserves to be number one because of the games played and the potential of what he would have had. The numbers he put up in 17 years. Cobb, 24 years. Aaron, 23. Musial, 23 years. Mays, 23, right? 22, 23. You got Camp Hansen in there. He plays 27 years. Cap, where did Cap end up here? He was 16 on the list. Good on the hits, 34-35. Batting, 334. Low on the total bases. RBIs, though, 2,000 RBIs and 1,999 runs. So he's got 3 or 4 good categories there. All right. Not to digress. Top 10 according to Ken Arizona, Vista, California, USA. I'm trying to prove to you according to metric rankings. I did 162 players. I added up their 9 categories. I got their total scores. Aaron was 1, and I went through 162 players. Who are the top 10? Ruth, number 1. According to me, my opinion analysis. Cobb, 2. 3. I'm going to put Hank Aaron. 4. I'm going to put Stan Musial. Why? 3,600 hits, 1,900 runs, 1,900 RBIs, and 331 lifetime, and 6,000 total bases. Okay. I got to write this down so I don't get confused. 1, Ruth. 2, Cobb. 3, Aaron. 4, Musial. 5. I'm going to put the what-if scenario, and I'm just going to put Ted Williams. You got to go with Ted Williams. 6, Mays. 7. Again, a what-if. You got to put Gehrig. He didn't play as many games, but he put up great numbers. 8. Who would you go with? I tell you what, Hornsby, the 358 lifetime batting average. You got to consider that. 9. Well, you could go with Camp Hansen, Wagner. You could go with Pete Rose. Who else had the numbers? Oh, man, this is tough. You got Rose with the 4,256 hits. But his batting was 303. You got Wagner, 3,400 hits, but his batting is 328. Rose beats him in total bases because he plays longer. But Wagner beats him in beats him in RBIs. Rose wins in runs. Wagner wins in slugging, but Rose wins on base. Would you put Rose 9 or would you put Wagner? How about Wagner's 8 batting titles, but then Pete Rose has 10 200-hit seasons, but he doesn't have as many batting titles. Maybe the competition was tough. What would you do? Would you put Wagner or Rose number 9? And what about Camp Hansen? As far as the numbers. You got Tris Speaker, 345 and 3,500 hits. I don't know. Well, Speaker didn't have as many RBIs as Wagner, but he did win in the runs scored. Oh boy, I tell you what, number 9, I'm gonna say, well, Rose beats him in hits by 700, right? Because Wagner has 3,400 and Rose has 4,200. So that's a difference of 800 hits. But in the long run, Wagner beats him by 20 points in batting average, and he beats him in RBIs. I'm going to put Wagner number 9. Sorry, Pete. If you had more RBIs, Pete, but you weren't an RBI guy, you were the leadoff guy getting on base. You know, Pete beat him in walks, beat Wagner. All right, number 10, I'll put Pete Rose. And then I'm going to put a 10A or 10B with Camp Hansen because you got to look at Camp Hansen. 3,400 hits, 2,000 RBIs, and almost 2,000 runs scored, and a 334 lifetime. What do you think? I've got 11 guys in the top 10 because I have a 10A, which is Pete Rose, and a 10B, which is Cap Hansen. What do you think? Do you agree? Can you prove to me that Ruth doesn't need to be number 1? Would you say that Ruth messed up in some of his seasons? Did you know? You know, with Babe Ruth, I think there's about 17 seasons of stats because he pitched about 5 years, 6 years, on and off, you know, or in the beginning he pitched a lot, and then toward the end he pitched less, and then eventually became the everyday starter. And did you know that in the 17 years of stats that he has, a couple of those years he played half the season because he got suspended, he messed up with the manager, got into arguments, couldn't get along. He got sick one time, eating too much or drinking too much, whatever the story is. If you read his biography, you'll figure out that some years he played 100, 120 games. If he had played 154, even the stats are higher. You got to put Babe Ruth number 1. Would you agree on the number 2 spot with Cobb? You can't. 12 batting net titles? Come on. We're talking about outperforming and the greatest players. Now, Cobb, problem with him was if he was just a nicer guy, but I guess on the baseball field, he took the attitude that I got to play my toughest. And so as a result, didn't make as much friends as he could have had and got into arguments and spiking people. And we don't know the story. I can't pass judgment because I wasn't there. But according to his biography and all that, he got in hassle with fans and hassle with management and got suspended too. But yet, you can't deny the stats and the performance. Incredible. 366. And it's not a fluke because it's over 3,000 games. I mean, if you did 1,000 games, 366, you would say, well, not as many games. But if you play 3,000 games and have over close to 12,000 at bats and you maintain 366 lifetime, you got to put Cobb number 2. How about Aaron? Well, Aaron puts up the numbers. He plays 23 years, has the 3,200 games. The only thing on Aaron is a 305 career, which is good. He's above 300. I would have liked to have seen Hank Aaron have like a 335 or 340 lifetime. That would have been remarkable, and he may be number 1 or 2. But the 305, but you got to give Aaron credit for the hits, 3,771, the runs, 2,174, and RBIs, 2,297. And total bases, he's number 1, 6,856 total bases. He was consistent. He was durable. Not too much trouble with Hank Aaron, but I put him number 3. 4, the what if with Ted Williams. 1,798 runs and 1,800 RBI, 344 a lifetime. I like that. You know, he beats Ruth by 2. Ruth had 342 lifetime batting, and Williams 344. Williams 300 less games than Ruth. So, and Williams very close in walks, 2021. Ruth 2062. Okay, I've repeated a lot of the stats, but I got Williams 5. But why did I put Musial ahead of Williams? Because Musial has 3,600 hits, whereas Williams has 2,600. So Musial has 1,000 more hits than Williams. Of course, Musial had 700 more games than Williams. But I'm going to put Musial 4 because 331 lifetime batting. He's got the 1,900 runs and the 1,900 RBIs. And the total bases, 6,134. Okay. All right. Ruth, Cobb, Aaron, Musial, Williams, top 5. Then you go Mays, good career, 2,000 runs, 1,900 RBI. Again, he was low on the average, 302. 300 is good, lifetime, 3,000 games, 300 batting average, very good. But I'd like to have seen Mays at 330 or 340, like Ruth, Williams, and Musial. So Mays is similar to Aaron as far as batting, and Aaron beats Mays in batting, 305 to 302. But you got to give credit for Mays because of 6,000 total bases and the 1,900 RBIs and 2,000 runs scored. Slugging too. Gehrig is a what if because he had 2,100 games. If he has another 900 games to get to 3,000 games, his numbers would have passed Musial. He would have been close to Aaron. Not in home run. Well, not in home runs, but in total bases and RBIs, he would have been close. Gehrig. So you got Gehrig 7. You got Hornsby because of the 358, which is 50 points higher than Aaron and Mays. And he beats Ruth. And he beats Musial. And he beats Williams. Hornsby. Then you got Wagner, 8 batting titles. Number 9, and then you got Pete Rose because of the total bases and the hits, 4,256 hits. And you got Camp Hansen in there, number 10B, because 3,400 hits and a 334 lifetime. What do you think? My top 10, 11 players in the top 10. Okay, what do you think of my metric rankings? You can agree or disagree. If you can prove to me another player was better, show me how you would do it. What stat or what measurement, or is it just physical ability? This is a debate. I'd like to have the debate. It's my analysis. It's my perspective. It's my preposition. Is that the right word? Anyways, I've been rambling on. I think I proved my point. Agree or disagree, it's okay. Ken Arzon, I'll continue doing baseball videos. Thanks for watching this one. I'm out.